It starts on a rainy evening in the Japanese countryside. A young boy named Ichigo is walking home with his mother when he spots something strange. A little girl in a white dress is standing alone right at the edge of a river. The rain is pouring down, and she is just standing there, completely still, staring at the water. Ichigo feels something pull at him, and he runs toward her to help. His mother chases after him, calling his name, telling him to stop. The girl slowly turns around. Ichigo faints on the spot. When he opens his eyes, his mother is lying on the ground, badly wounded. She had tried to protect him from the girl, who was not a lost child at all, but a vengeful spirit. Years pass. Ichigo grows up. And growing up changes almost nothing about the strange world he lives in, because Ichigo has always been able to see spirits. Not occasionally, all the time, everywhere he goes. He has learned to live with it, and when he can, he tries to help them. One evening, Ichigo comes home from school and notices a woman standing quietly in his room. She is dressed differently from anyone he has ever seen, and she is clearly surprised that he can see her at all. Her name is Rukia, and she is a soul reaper, a warrior who hunts evil spirits and protects the living from them. Their conversation barely gets started before Rukia goes still. She feels something evil and very close. Ichigo runs downstairs immediately. He finds his sister crouched in a corner of the room, trembling after hearing a terrifying voice coming from outside. Then the wall explodes inward. A massive hand reaches through the rubble and grabs his sister, dragging her away. Ichigo charges outside without thinking. Standing in the street is an enormous monster, a hollow as Rukia calls it. A hollow is an evil spirit, aggressive and hungry, drawn to people with high spiritual energy, and Ichigo, apparently, has an unusually large amount of it. The monster swats Ichigo aside like he weighs nothing. Rukia rushes in and slashes the creature hard enough to make it drop his sister, who lands on top of Ichigo. The hollow recovers fast, faster than expected, and launches its own head at Rukia like a projectile. She barely deflects it. Then it grabs her, and a massive ball of dark energy begins charging in its mouth, aimed directly at her. Rukia breaks free using her spells and sends the hollow flying. But when she drops to the ground, Ichigo can see immediately that she is badly hurt. She can barely stand. She tells him what has to happen. She needs to transfer her Soul Reaper powers into him by stabbing him with her sword. It is the only way he can fight the monster and protect everyone around him. Ichigo looks at the hollow recovering in the distance, already pulling itself back together, and accepts. The sword goes in. A shadow moves through the street, and a blade cuts through the darkness. The hollow loses an arm in a single strike. Ichigo has transformed, tall, powerful, dressed in black, carrying a sword almost as large as he is. The hollow charges in blind fury. Ichigo cuts it clean in half. It dissolves and disappears. The next morning, Ichigo wakes up convinced it was all a dream. Then he looks at the enormous hole in his wall. His family remembers nothing about the previous night. They think a truck crashed into the house somehow. Ichigo says nothing and goes to school. He walks into his classroom. His friends are there. Everything seems normal. And then Rukia walks in and takes a seat, pretending to be a new transfer student. She grabs Ichigo by the arm, drags him into the hallway, and tells him very quietly that if he says a single word about who she really is, she will kill him. Then she explains the situation. She gave him all of her powers accidentally. She cannot return to her dimension, the Soul Society, until she gets them back. Without her powers, she cannot fight hollows, cannot complete her duties, and is essentially stranded in the human world forever. She has to get them back as quickly as possible. She tries the transfer immediately, using a special glove to push Ichigo's soul out of his body. The process requires him to channel all his spiritual energy back into her sword, but it fails. Ichigo's energy level is too high right now. His body would not survive the transfer as he currently is. The only way to make it work safely is for him to get stronger through training, so his body can handle the pressure. Ichigo is not enthusiastic about any of this. He just wants his normal life back. He goes home that evening and opens his closet to find Rukia sitting inside it. She has nowhere to go. He tells her to get out. She tells him to accept his fate. His father bursts in after hearing a woman's voice, knocks Ichigo across the room, and throws open the closet door, which is somehow completely empty. His father gives Ichigo a very serious warning about bringing girls home and leaves. Training begins the next day. It does not go well. Rukia hands Ichigo a wooden sword and tries to teach him basic kendo. He swings it wildly and cannot land a single hit on her. His motivation is clearly not there. At the same time, in the Soul Society, a red-haired Soul Reaper named Renji reports to his captain that Rukia has gone completely off their radar. Her spiritual energy has vanished, which strongly suggests she transferred her powers to a human. The captain's name is Byakuya, and he listens without expression. He gives a single order: find her. Because giving one's Soul Reaper powers to a human is a crime punishable by death. That night, walking home from school, Ichigo senses someone following him. He stops and tells the presence to show itself. Renji steps out of the shadows, visibly surprised that a human can see him at all. He demands to know where Rukia is. Ichigo plays dumb and acts completely clueless, even though his face says otherwise. Renji gets frustrated and draws his sword. He charges. An arrow hisses through the air right over Renji's head. The Soul Reaper ducks, loses his focus, and Ichigo uses the gap to run. Back home, Ichigo demands to know the truth from Rukia. She tells him only one thing: he needs to train, or the next time Renji finds him, he will be killed. The following day, a boy at school approaches Ichigo. He wears glasses and seems to know exactly what Ichigo is. His name is Ishida, and he reveals that he is from a clan called the Quincy, a group of humans with spiritual abilities who were nearly wiped out by Soul Reapers long ago. Ishida demonstrates his power by forming a bow made entirely of spiritual energy out of thin air. He was the one who fired the arrow that stopped Renji the night before, but Ishida is not there to be friends. He wants to fight Ichigo, to prove something, to settle something from the past. Ichigo refuses. Ishida changes tactics. If Ichigo will not fight him directly, he will force the situation by releasing a powerful lure into the city that draws hollows from all directions. Rukia feels the surge of evil energy immediately. She rushes to Ichigo and pushes his soul out of his body, getting him into Soul Reaper form. They race to the park and find a hollow chasing the soul of a young boy Ichigo had tried to help before. The creature is huge and fast. Ichigo charges in swinging his enormous sword, but the hollow is too quick. It evades every strike and the attacks land on nothing but air. The monster launches its own counterattack, and Ichigo barely avoids being crushed under its massive legs. He keeps running, keeps fighting, but he is getting tired. His guard drops for a single moment, and the hollow hits him hard, sending him flying across the park. Before the monster can close in for the kill, it is sliced in half from behind. Renji has found them by tracking their spiritual energy. He dispatches the hollow without breaking a sweat, then turns to Ichigo and charges at full speed. Ichigo tries to react but takes a devastating kick directly to the face and goes flying into a tree. Renji raises his sword for the finish. Rukia throws herself between them and screams at Renji to stop. Renji cannot understand it. Why is she protecting a human? Their argument is cut short when a new presence arrives. A man appears between them, calm and completely still. Captain Byakuya, Rukia's brother. He looks at his sister without emotion and tells her to take her powers back from Ichigo, even if she has to kill him to do it. It is the only way her crimes can be forgiven by the Soul Society. Rukia refuses. She will not kill an innocent person, especially not one she put in danger through her own mistake. Byakuya looks at her for a long moment. He gives her until the next full moon to recover her powers on her own terms. If she fails, they will kill Ichigo themselves. After they leave, Rukia heals Ichigo's injuries using special herbs. He asks what they are supposed to do now. Neither of them has a good answer. The power difference between them and the Soul Society is overwhelming. As the days pass, Rukia watches Ichigo closely and realizes something difficult. He is not going to be ready in time, and after the damage she took from the last fight, she is not sure she can protect him on her own either. She decides to gamble everything on one move. She goes to Byakuya with a proposal. She and Ichigo will hunt down and destroy one of the most dangerous hollows in existence, the Grand Fissure. This is the same creature responsible for destroying countless souls. Defeating it would be significant enough to consider her crimes at least partially forgiven. In exchange, Byakuya must promise to leave Ichigo alive. Byakuya refuses the terms. He questions her loyalty to her own family. Renji is disgusted and calls Ichigo worthless. Then Ichigo appears. He followed them. He steps forward and agrees to the terms himself. He will hunt and destroy the Grand Fissure if they promise to let Rukia go free. Renji moves to attack him immediately. Byakuya stops him. The captain accepts the deal, fully expecting Ichigo to die in the attempt. This time, training is different. Ichigo shows up with everything he has. He trains with total focus, total commitment. In a short amount of time, he improves dramatically, learning how to feel and control his spiritual energy, how to project it as a weapon, how to actually fight rather than just swing wildly and hope for the best. They track the Grand Fissure together, following the traces of its spiritual energy. When they find it, the monster shifts its form and becomes the little girl from Ichigo's childhood, the same girl who caused his mother's death. They are the same creature. Ichigo transforms and charges forward, slashing through the monster's tentacles, driving his sword into its center. Then his mother appears in front of him. The hollow has created an illusion using Ichigo's guilt, projecting the thing he loves most as a shield. He barely pulls back in time. Rukia breaks the illusion. The Grand Fisher drops its disguise entirely and reveals its true form, a massive, overwhelming beast. Ichigo charges with everything he has, driven by years of grief and anger. The hollow tears through the city, knocking down buildings, throwing people through the air, destroying entire blocks as it hunts Ichigo through the streets. The creature is enormous and its tentacles move in every direction, impossible to track, impossible to avoid. Ichigo defends desperately, barely keeping himself alive. The hollow catches him in its claws and starts crushing him against the ground. Ichigo refuses to stop fighting even with his body being compressed under the monster's weight. An arrow hits the creature and blasts it backward. Ishida has arrived. The Quincy fires arrow after arrow, drawing the monster's attention. The hollow deflects them easily, but the distraction is enough. Ichigo dives underneath it, running along the ground, and cuts the hollow open from below. The monster screams and summons a tornado that throws both of them across the street. Ichigo hides inside a bus trying to catch his breath. The hollow finds him and tears the entire bus apart to get at him. The creature lifts the bus off the ground entirely. Ishida takes aim carefully. One arrow. He fires it directly into the hollow's eye. The monster drops everything. Ichigo launches from above and drives his sword through the creature's head, splitting it open completely. The Grand Fisher screams one final time and dissolves into nothing. His mother has been avenged. Rukia runs to him. Ichigo turns and actually smiles at her. Then Ishida drops to the ground with a sword through his back. Renji has arrived and already broken the deal. He is here to finish Ichigo. Byakuya looks at Rukia and gives her one final chance. Kill Ichigo, return to the Soul Society, and everything will be forgiven. Soul Reapers do not befriend humans. It is not complicated. Rukia cannot do it. Byakuya orders Renji to kill them both. Renji attacks with speed and precision that Ichigo has never faced before. The strikes come from every angle and never stop. Ichigo is knocked into cars, through walls, across the street, but something has changed. Unlike every fight before this, Ichigo is starting to read the movements. He is starting to see them before they happen. He charges back into the fight. They trade strikes hard and fast. Renji is stronger and more experienced. He knocks Ichigo around the battlefield, but Ichigo lands a kick that sends Renji stumbling backward. Renji loses his patience and releases his weapon into its true form. A powerful extending blade that launches toward Ichigo like a living thing. Ichigo runs, unable to adjust to the new range. The weapon catches him and sends him flying into a pile of crushed cars. Renji throws a vehicle at him. The explosion lights up the entire street. Ichigo walks out of the fire. He charges Renji, deflects the extending blade, and cuts through it, sending Renji crashing hard into the ground. When Byakuya sees his Soul Reaper defeated, he steps in himself. The captain moves at a speed that seems impossible. Ichigo slashes at him, and Byakuya simply disappears. He reappears beside Ichigo and cuts him across the stomach. Ichigo falls, gets up, attacks again, gets cut down again, falls again, gets up again, every single time. No matter what Byakuya does, Ichigo refuses to stay down. Byakuya stares at him. Something about it, the stubbornness, the refusal to stop, actually makes him pause. And then Ichigo grabs the captain by the sleeve. Byakuya has had enough. He raises his sword for the final blow. Rukia steps in front of Ichigo and knocks him backward herself. She tells him he is a lowly human. She tells him she is tired of all of this. Her eyes are full of tears she will not let fall. Then she turns to her brother and tells him she will come back. She will return to the Soul Society and face whatever judgment is waiting for her. No more fighting. No more hiding. Just let it be over. She takes Ichigo's sword and drives it into herself, pulling the Soul Reaper powers back out of him. The street fills with white light. Ichigo wakes up the next morning in his own bed. Every wound is healed. His body feels like nothing happened. He gets up, gets dressed, and goes to school like any other day. He walks into the classroom. His friends are there. Everything looks normal, but something feels missing, something important. He sits down at his desk and opens the textbook inside it. Written across the pages, in small, careful handwriting, are notes from Rukia. Ichigo looks at the words for a long moment, then he smiles.